Back in polycultures here, we're going to look at adding polycultures to our design. And in this case, we've already been working on a design and adding all the trees. This is where I left off in a previous video. Got all the trees in here. That's great. Trees first, then shrubs and perennials. But to go through every one of these trees and add all the understory plants is a lot of work. So one of the things that we developed basically was to have a lot of them already set to go. And in that case, with the symbols, we have those, like this blueberry one here, already made. This is a simple one. One high bush blueberry and comfrey. So number 24 is the blueberry. We have one of those, and then 4 number 8s, which is the comfrey in that. And that is saved as a symbol up in here. Here's one for apricot. Make that a little smaller, get this out of the way. Again, this in itself is a symbol. In this case, the whole page here, we've made all of these symbols so it lists how many there are. You can drag and drop, but this symbol actually appears also in our symbol list over here, and I can double click on that. Now when you click on this symbol, this polyculture symbol, it opens up the editing suite to just that polyculture. So now I have this open, and you'll see some of the plants will start to scroll by here. We have our serviceberry 101, lead plant, cream wild indigo, nitrogen fixer. Lead plant's also nitrogen fixer. We have our daffodils, of course, and anise hyssop in here. And then we have 2 serviceberries 101s on the side. So you can see there's a lot of plants in here that we've added. Basically this group is ready to go. Now if I want to change this symbol, I've double clicked on it, I'm now editing this symbol. I can really, using the option key and using the selection arrows, press the option key and I can like double up. I can add more of these. If then I click on this arrow up in the upper left corner, that will then save that symbol with those plants on it, and I've kind of added those to it. In this case, I'm not going to do that because I have this all counted and set and ready to go. So I'm going to click on that arrow. Now we're back into the main polyculture sheet that we have here. So what we've done really is taken the trees that already exist, so like at the apricot, we had an apricot tree here. We opened up the apricot symbol, and you can see already above this apricot is the original one, and below it is the polyculture. We've opened up that apricot, and then when we're in this listing, we're basically dragging and dropping different plants onto that and editing that polyculture. Okay, so start with the tree, drag your perennials on here, drag some shrubs on here, whatever fits. Remember which way is south. Remember that this apricot tree is going to take a while. You're going to plant a whip, or you're going to plant a potted tree, something like that. You're going to have a lot of room around it to plant in the meantime. And also on the south side, most of the time it's going to be full sun anyway. You can see on the north side here we haven't planted much, but we could in the meantime plant all sorts of things in there, strawberries or maybe even annuals at this point. But under the canopy, for the most part, a lot of these plants are going to stay here for the life of that tree, and we are building nitrogen in the soil. We have dynamic accumulators, and we're going to start feeding and doing our nitrogen cycling under this tree with the perennials that will be well established as this tree begins to mature. So we've backed out of that by pressing that arrow up in the upper left corner. We save this. Now I'm going to save the file. Here we go. We have our spinning wheel on here. We have our symbols on here. Now one of the things as you work and as you're adding symbols, up in the corner you want to sort by name. I'll move that over a little bit. Sort it by name to make sure everything is in order as you have it for your numbers or however you are identifying the plants. As I mentioned earlier, we're changing all of our numbers to the initials for the scientific name, and then it will be by height, but we're going to have our initials in the symbol, but everything is ordered for us on ours by height because we pick plants by height and then we place them by their width and how they space in there. Now once I have saved my polyculture in here, then I'm going to go down to the bottom and save symbols. Now what this is doing is it's saving just the symbol library. So at this point you might want to call it something else. I'm going to call it the Southwood Symbol Library in this case. Now that is the library in my symbols library, and it'll be an Illustrator saved in the folder there. I'm going to save that. Now all of those symbols are available to me on this project. So when I have the symbol menu open on this project, I can now go down to the bottom here. Let me get that in a better position so you can see it. User defined. Oh, it's the bottom there. It says user defined. And then I have all these, and now we have Southwood Polyculture Symbol Library. And I'm going to open that up. And there it is. It comes in with just all the symbols set. But look at, you can see all the ones that we already have in here that are all ready to go. Some that have the plant list under them, some that don't. You can always take that off when you're ready to go. You can even drag and drop that on another area of your design. So I'm going to order that by the list. And now if I want to bring a polyculture into this, if I want to start using some of those, I can just drag and drop or double click this apple polyculture, and it will now appear at the bottom of my symbol list for this project. It'll be down there. Do I want a pear polyculture? I got it there. Great. I'm adding polycultures to my symbol list for this project, and now I can drag and drop. I already know how many plants are in each one, and later on it'll be a lot easier to count up the number of polycultures rather than the number of individual plants. So let's practice that a little bit. So we have our symbol library. Here we have a little corner. This actually is a great dugout pond area. Berms and swales going downhill actually right into the water table. So we have a really high water table here, and we have a permanent source of water for this orchard space, which is really great. And just for practice, we're going to just drop in a pear plant. Here we go. So now you can see we can get this set in here. We got a lot of plants around this, around that pear. We also have the apple one. Now I can see where my list is, right? I can see what's going on with my plants in here, but it's kind of muddled because we don't want that text in there. So I'm going to double click on that, go into this file, just cut it out of there, and then return back to my image, and now I have a clean polyculture on here with my plants. On my Excel spreadsheet for my polyculture list, I actually know what those plants are. I don't have that open right now, but I actually have the polycultures listed and then all the plants listed on it. So I already have a count. I know how many plants are in this pear polyculture. Now, once these plants are in there, you don't have to leave them where they are, right? We have a polyculture here, but look, we have some in the swale, some all over the place in here, and we can move those out and move them around because we know what the count is for this polyculture, and we can get them where we want them to be. So we can click on the polyculture that's here and then go up into that right corner, and what we're going to do is break the link to the symbol. Now what that does is it basically makes that polyculture symbol all individual plants. And now you can move them around, get them out of the swale, put them in the berm, bring them closer to the tree, right? We can move the tree around if we want. Could lock the tree down and start moving these around. So I have basically placed all of a known quantity of plants in my design, and now I can move these around so they make sense, right? Because every site is site specific, every site is going to be different, and I can move these in. At one point these were scattered around in the design previously used And now I'm going to bring it down here, right, and use that. What's really kind of neat too is we'll open up those symbols. All these symbols now that we used in that polyculture are in the list. So if I click on 16, I'm going to get lead plant. And I click on 14, I get the cream wild indigo. I still can identify what these plants are. And I also know where the center of the tree is. I know that I'm working with 82 here. Let's see. I locked that. So 82 is the Asian pear in here. The Asian pear is suited to this climate. We're assuming, but we're just playing here. But know that when you make your polyculture in the symbol library and you drag it onto your design, you can move the plants. Now once you've done that, if you want to add plants and you want to take plants away, that's great, but you're going to have to keep track. But at least at this point, you have a known quantity of understory plants, nitrogen fixers, dynamic accumulators, other shrubs that might fit on the south side of the tree in other areas. And you can move those around, and your plant list will be still right on the money with that.